Bilbo got quite uncomfortable, and even a little cross. "Good morning," he said at last. "We don't want any adventures here, thank you. You might try over the hill, or across the water." "What a lot of things you do use good morning for," said Gandalf. "Now you mean that you want to get rid of me, and that it won't be good until I move off." "No, not at all, my dear sir. Let me see. I don't think I know your name." "I do know your name, Mr. Bilbo Baggins, and you do know my name, though you don't remember that I belong to it. I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me." "Gandalf? Gandalf! Good gracious me! Not the wandering wizard? Not the fellow who used to tell such wonderful tales at parties, about dragons and goblins and giants and the rescue of princesses and the unexpected luck of widows' sons? Not the man who used to make such particularly excellent fireworks? I beg your pardon, but I had no idea you were still in business." "Where else should I be?" said the wizard. "All the same, I am pleased to find you remember something about me. I will give you what you asked for." "I beg your pardon? I haven't asked for anything." "Yes, you have, twice now. My pardon. I give it to you. In fact, I will go so far as to send you on this adventure. Very amusing for me, very good for you, and profitable, too, very likely, if you ever get over it." "Sorry, I don't want any adventures, thank you. Not today, good morning, but please come to tea any time you like. Why not tomorrow? Come tomorrow. Goodbye." With that, the hobbit turned and scuttled inside his round green door and shut it as quickly as he dared, not to seem rude. Wizards, after all, are wizards. Gandalf was still standing outside the door and laughing quietly. After a while he stepped up, and with a spike on his staff, scratched a queer sign on the hobbit's beautiful green front door. Then he strode away. The next day, Bilbo had almost forgotten about Gandalf. Just before tea-time there came a tremendous ring on the front door-bell, and then he remembered. He rushed and put on the kettle, and put out another cup and saucer, and an extra cake or two, and ran to the door. "I'm so sorry to keep you waiting," he was going to say, when he saw that it was not Gandalf at all. It was a dwarf with a blue beard tucked into a golden belt, and very bright eyes under his dark green hood. As soon as the door was opened, he pushed inside, just as if he had been expected. "Dwalin, at your service," he said with a low bow. "Bilbo Baggins, at yours," said the hobbit, too surprised to ask any questions for the moment. "I am just about to make tea. Pray come and have some with me." They had not been at the table long when there came another, even louder ring at the bell. "Excuse me," said the hobbit, and off he went to the door. "So you have got here at last." That was what he was going to say to Gandalf this time, but it was not Gandalf. Instead, there was a very old-looking dwarf on the step, with a white beard and a scarlet hood, and he, too, hopped inside as soon as the door was open, just as if he had been invited. "Balin, at your service," he said, with his hand on his breast. "Thank you," said Bilbo with a gasp. "Come along in and have some tea," he managed to say, after taking a deep breath. "A little beer would suit me better, if that is all the same to you, my good sir," said Balin with the white beard. "But I don't mind some cake. Seed cake, if you have any." "Oh, lots," Bilbo found himself answering to his surprise, and he found himself scuttling off to the cellar to fill a pint beer mug, and then to a pantry to fetch 2 beautiful round seed cakes, which he had baked that afternoon. When he got back, Balin and Dwalin were talking at the table like old friends. As a matter of fact, they were brothers. Bilbo plumped down the beer and the cake in front of them, when loud came a ring at the bell again, and then another ring. Gandalf for certain this time, he thought, as he puffed along the passage. But it was not. It was 2 more dwarves, both with blue hoods, silver belts, and yellow beards. In they hopped as soon as the door began to open. Bilbo was hardly surprised at all. "What can I do for you, my dwarves?" he said. "Kili, at your service," said the one. "And Fili," added the other. And they both swept off their blue hoods and bowed. "Dwalin and Balin here already, I see," said Kili. "Let us join the throng." "Throng?" thought Mr. Baggins. "I don't like the sound of that. I really must sit down for a minute and collect my wits and have a drink." He had only just had a sip in the corner, while the 4 dwarves sat round the table and talked about mines and gold and troubles with the goblins and the depredations of dragons and lots of other things which he did not understand and did not want to, for they sounded much too adventurous, when his bell rang again. "Someone at the door," he said, blinking. "Some 4, I should say, by the sound," said Fili. The poor little hobbit sat down in the hall and put his head in his hands and wondered what had happened, and what was going to happen, and whether they would all stay for supper. Then the bell rang again, louder than ever, and he had to run to the door. It was not 4, after all. It was 5. Bilbo had hardly turned the knob before they were all inside, bowing and saying, "At your service," one after another. Dori, Nori, Ori, Owen, and Glowin were their names, and off they marched with their broad hands stuck in their gold and silver belts to join the others. Already it had almost become a throng. Some called for ale, and some for porter, and one for coffee, and all of them for cakes. So the hobbit was kept very busy for a while. A big jug of coffee had just been set in the hearth, the seed cakes were gone, and the dwarves were starting on a round of buttered scones, when there came a loud knock, not a ring, but a hard rat-tat on the hobbit's beautiful green door. Somebody was banging with a stick. Bilbo rushed along the passage, very angry, and altogether bewildered and bewothered. He pulled open the door with a jerk, and they all fell in, one on top of the other. More dwarves, 4 more, and there was Gandalf behind, leaning on his staff and laughing. He had made quite a dent on the beautiful door. He had also, by the way, knocked out the secret mark that he had put there the morning before. "Carefully, carefully," he said. "It is not like you, Bilbo, to keep friends waiting on the mat, and then open the door like a popgun. Let me introduce Bifur, Bofur, Bombur, and especially Thorin." "At your service," said Bifur, Bofur, and Bombur, standing in a row. Thorin, an enormously important dwarf, in fact, no other than the great Thorin Oakenshield himself, was not at all pleased at falling flat on Bilbo's mat with Bifur, Bofur, and Bombur on top of him. Thorin, indeed, was very haughty, and said nothing about service. But poor Mr. Baggins said he was sorry so many times that at last he grunted, "Pray don't mention it," and stopped frowning. "Now we are all here," said Gandalf. "Quite a merry gathering. I hope there is something left for the latecomers to eat and drink. A little red wine, I think, for me." "And for me," said Thorin. Gandalf sat at the head of the party with the 13 dwarves all around, and Bilbo sat on a stool at the fireside, nibbling at a biscuit, and trying to look as if this was all perfectly ordinary, and not in the least an adventure. The dwarves ate, and talked, and time got on. At last they pushed their chairs back, and Bilbo made a move to collect the plates and glasses. "I suppose you will all stay to supper?" "Of course," said Thorin. "And after?" "We shan't get through the business too late, and we must have some music first. Now to clear up." Thereupon the 12 dwarves, not Thorin, he was too important and stayed talking to Gandalf, jumped to their feet and made tall piles of all the things. Off they went, not waiting for trays, balancing columns of plates, each with a bottle on the top.